Ladbrokes, proud sponsor of the Challenge Cup on Sky Sports.
The 114th staging of the Challenge Cup, now sponsored by Ladbrokes, has reached the quarter-final stage. Welcome to the first of those 4 matches live from the KC Lightstream Stadium in Hull. Rovers coach Chris Chester has called it the biggest game in his time at the club, and performances in Super League this season point towards Wembley as being the best chance for either of these sides to lift silverware this season. It's Hull Kingston Rovers against Catalan Dragons, live on Sky Sports. And tomorrow on Sky Sports 3, our cameras will have decamped and moved the 6 or so miles across the city to the KC Stadium to watch the Challenge Cup holders Leeds Rhinos in action against the home side Hull FC, an 8 p.m. start for that one. Saturday sees top of the championship Lee against the Warrington Wolves. On Sunday, St Helens take on Widnes at home, 4 p.m. start for that. We can have a look now at the sides here at the KC Lightstream Stadium, and it's an unchanged starting 13 for Hull Kingston Rovers from the side that beat the Warrington Wolves in front of the Sky Sports cameras last Friday. Kieran Dixon had his best game in a Rovers jersey in that match. We'll hope to continue that form, as will Ken Seo and Josh Mantelano, 15 and 16 tries respectively apiece this season. Maurice Blair doing an able job in place of Terry Campese, who today had surgery on his knee. Rovers will hope him a speedy recovery. Albert Kelly, the man to watch in the number 7 jersey for the Rovers. And no changes up front. That means 2 Frenchmen will be hoping to get one over the Catalan Dragons. John Boudez with a hooker and Kevin Laroyer in second row. Tyrone McCarthy, captain, and a man with plenty of Challenge Cup pedigree, having won the trophy twice in his time at the Warrington Wolves. There are 2 changes on the bench for the Rovers side. Sean Lunt and Dane Tilts come in. Lunt missed the last 9 games and Tilts missed the last 5. In fact, the last game he played was that epic victory that Hull Kingston Rovers had over the Wigan Warriors in this very competition. Chris Chester, himself a Challenge Cup winner in 2005 with Hull FC, would love to go back to Wembley and lift the trophy with the Rovers. The Catalan Dragons have made 1 change in their back line. Stanislav Robin comes in alongside Scott Giroux in that troublesome half combination. No Todd Carney and no Thomas Bosk after his injury. Keep an eye out for Christian Inu. The number 30 scored a try on his debut against the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. On 3 changes in the pack, Bousquet, Henderson and Taya come in to add some power and punch. Remy Casti, one of only 2 players to have played in the Catalan Dragons' only ever Challenge Cup final appearance back in 2007. The other one of those is on the bench, Gregory Muniz, alongside Eloi Pellissier, Benjamin Garcia and Louis Anderson. Their coach is Laurent Fresineau. Before we join our commentary team, here's Eddie with some exciting news for Sky Sports Rugby League subscribers.
You can see Hull KR against Salford and Wakefield against Hull live on the Sky Sports website via our dedicated online channel Sky Sports Extra. Simply head to www.skysports.com/extra and log in using your Sky ID and password. You can also watch both matches via the Sky Sports for iPad app and navigate to our dedicated Rugby League section.
Not much time for Hull Kingston Rovers to get over the bruises. They will undoubtedly receive in tonight's game. They're back in action on Tuesday against Salford, 8 p.m. on Sky Sports Extra and Sky Sports for iPad app. And then on Wednesday you can see a crucial match for Hull FC against the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats, who will no doubt be boosted by the signing of Kevin Locke from the aforementioned Salford Red Devils. That's 8 p.m. on Sky Sports Extra again and Sky Sports for iPad app. And what about this for 2 games we have for you at the end of next week? Thursday sees the Warrington Wolves, stuttering now in Super League, hosting the Wigan Warriors, 7:30 p.m. on Sky Sports 1. Same time, same channel the next day. It's top of the table clash, Leeds Rhinos against St Helens. 4 crucial games that will have a massive bearing on who makes the top 8 in Super League this year. But right now the focus goes on the Challenge Cup. 8 teams remaining. 4 Challenge Cup semi-final spaces up for grabs when the draw is made at Langtree Park Stadium on Sunday. Well, there's only 2 times these clubs have ever met in the Challenge Cup, this being the second of them. The first was a win for Catalan Dragons back in April 2012. These 2 sides have met twice this season so far, one the most bizarre of games here at the KC Lightstream Stadium back in March, when 2 minutes before the break, visitors, the Catalan Dragons, led by 20 points to 4. The final result in that game, a 50 points to 20 victory for Hull Kingston Rovers. And didn't those fans cheer that day? The Catalan Dragons will be desperate to avoid a repeat of that. Scott Giroux at the front of the shot there, kicked 6 from 6 against the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats, but has been far from his best. Tyrone McCarthy brings his side out of the dressing rooms and ready to enter the battlefield for what should be an absolutely classic Challenge Cup tie. Well, just one Challenge Cup win for Hull Kingston Rovers in their entire storied history, that in 1980. When Roger Millward, the great Roger Millward as player coach, led them to victory over the rivals Hull FC. Wouldn't they love to go back there, and wouldn't they love to meet Hull FC in a Wembley final? That's still a possibility, but first and foremost, Chris Chester and his side must overcome this formidable challenge of the Catalan Dragons. We can go now to your commentary team of Barry McDermott, Terry O'Connor, and they're led tonight by Bill Arthur.
Thank you, Brian. It's a very muggy evening in East Yorkshire here at the KC Lightstream Stadium, and hardly a breath of air around the ground, which is unusual. It's normally pretty breezy at this venue, but it's very still, very warm, and there's going to be some heat out there between these two sides because there's a lot at stake. They're close to each other on the Super League ladder. Rovers 9th and really battling for a top 8 finish. Laurent Fraser-New's Dragons side up in 6th place at the moment, but tonight they turn their attention to the Ladbrokes Challenge Cup. Rovers haven't featured in the semi-finals since 2006, and that was an unfortunate experience. They lost 50-0 to St Helens, and Catalans' most recent Challenge Cup semi-final was in 2007, and that was painful. They lost against Warrington Wolves 54-12. So can one of these sides be the first to get through to this year's Challenge Cup semi-final? There is John Budebza, once a Catalan junior, now a big favourite with this Hull Kingston Rovers supporting bunch on that far side of the ground. Julien Busquet, you saw there, back in the Catalan side for this game tonight, refereed by Phil Bentham, ready to get us underway, and a place in the last 4 at stake for these two sides. Big games to come, but this is the big game for Rovers and the Dragons, and it's the first touch for this Hull Kingston Rovers, in good shape and in confident mood after their big win over Warrington Wolves last time out in Super League. Catalan going into this game on the back of a win. It wasn't the most convincing of performances, though, against Brian Smith's Wakefield Wildcats side, who pushed them all the way before the Dragons ran out. Well, I wouldn't say comfortable winners, but winners in the end. So Catalan with this terrible record on the road as well. Just the one win, that was at Wakefield this season in Super League, and a draw against Huddersfield at the Magic Weekend in Newcastle as well. Can they perform better away from home in the Cup?
Bill, and that's been their Achilles heel. Everyone's talked about it. It's been the away form. They can turn it on at home, but they can't seem to get their A game together when they play away. You look at Hull KR, though, on the other hand, they've only lost on 2 occasions this year at home. They've been beaten by Leeds in round 1. They were beaten by Castleford. They look a formidable outfit on home soil.
And just letting Fouad Yaha know the sort of reception he can expect as he ran that ball back. Rovers keen to get into this Catalan side and establish their dominance early on in this game. But that's a good run by Whitehead to make some yards for the Catalan side in this snazzy change strip. Henderson back in the Catalan lineup after sitting out that performance against Wakefield last week. Giroux, can he kick into the corner from Scott Giroux, and across comes Kieran Dixon. Chris Chester saying before the game it was a difficult call to make, leaving Ben Cockayne out, but Dixon really was outstanding in the game against Warrington last week.
Kieran Dixon's one of those spark players. If you give him enough time and enough space, great shot. Physical dominance from the Catalan players. If you give him enough time and space as a defender, he'll make you look silly. But just an update on Zeb Tayyar, crucial to Catalan Dragons. Whenever they play well, Zeb Tayyar's right in the middle of it. He's not 100% fit. We watched him warm up, myself and Tez. He left early, didn't really take part and a lot of the team stuff, he's limping his way around, and he's stuck his hand up, and I'm sure he said to his coach, I'll give it a go, but he's less than 100%.
Rovers on the halfway line. Here's Kelly, who had a big game against the Warrington Wolves, and now Fouad Yaha underneath that one. But he is confident, this lad. 18 years of age, we've seen a lot of him in recent weeks.
Well, it's his 10th consecutive appearance, Fouad Yaha. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, but they're testing the youngster out. And there's a good combination there on the left edge for Catalan in Ben Pomeroy and Yaha. Two big physical outside backs who've got some speed as well.
Well, here is Zeb Taya. They'll know all about this guy, the danger he poses, Zeb Taya. Some people's tip for a Man of Steel candidacy.
Bill, and do you know, if you've got a doubt in your mind, if there's a bit of a niggle, a bit of an injury, you just want to get hold of the ball, you want to make a good tackle, make a good run. If it's not right, it's not right.
Whitehead. They get the ball wide to Krishnan Inu, but he is immediately stopped by Josh Montalato, and then Giroud puts the kick in, but it's comfortable for Ken Seo, and the crowd lifts as Seo runs that ball back for Rovers.
Well, it's a good start from both sides, both getting to the kicks. Whether they're kicking on the fourth or kicking on the last play, they're turning the ball over on their terms. They're waiting for the opposition to make that first mistake.
Here is another Frenchman, Kevin Laroyer, on loan from the Catalan Dragons for the second season with Rovers, and on the way to making that a permanent deal by the sound of things. And he likes to stay here, but here is Montalato now, and goes to ground. Josh Montalato just stumbled as he took that ball. Krishnan Inu appealing there was a knock on there. Walker, good offload from Walker, finds Puletua, and Tony Puletua is immediately cut down. Budebsa, Kelly now, Kelly, little chip kick again. Fouad Yaha under pressure, this time he's lost it. And Catalan scramble that ball edge. Ben Pomeroy it was who came to the rescue.
He's a good player, Adam Walker. He gets more offloads away than any of his teammates. He goes hard into collision, he turns, he offloads the ball, and because of that run and that offload, it gets to that field position, which allows Hull KR to kick on the front foot, put Yaha under pressure, and the game plan early on looks like it's kick to the youngster on that left edge.
Ben Pomeroy back in this Catalan side, having missed 8 games because of injury. First goal line dropout of the game.
Is that the dropout leg injury? All right. Okay, boys, on side.
Good crowd here at KC Lightstream Stadium for this one. Catalan taking their time. And then Krishnan Inu launches that one downfield, and forward comes Walker again. Henderson and Bateri get to him in the end. Referee calls held, and Walker just getting the message across to Ian Henderson. Here is Kevin Laroyer now. Up against friends and former teammates. Kelly now. Blair puts the brakes on. Whitehead makes the tackle. Budebsa, here's Tony Puletua. Rovers applying the pressure early on here. 5 minutes gone in this quarter-final as Kelly, the ball hits the deck, and so does Liam Salter with the aid of Fouad Yaha on the last, and Kelly hoists this one cross-field, and Krishnan Inu is underneath this one, claims it successfully.
Well, Josh Montalato hits the deck, possibly asking the referee was there an escort, but it was an excellent take. Krishnan Inu, with all the confidence in the world, pouches it. You just see Montalato taken off the ball by Scott Giroud, but play on is the referee's call.
Krishnan Inu playing his second game for the Catalan Dragons, having joined them from Stade Francais after half a dozen appearances in the top 14. That ball has been lost, and touch judge is on.
Well, the first mistake was from Elliot Whitehead. He just presumed that Krishnan Inu was pushing up on his shoulder. Oh, there's a hand in there from Chris Wellham. Two-man tackle, he taps that ball out. You can just see it as he's going down, his right arm, there it is. Oh, it's a little sneaky one.
Right, hang on a minute, right under the touch judge's nose. They missed that one. And Rovers will get head and feet at the scrum. Can they profit from that lucky break? Here's Leroy now. Dixon motoring into space. So is Ken Seo. And Seo will put foot to the floor and get the first try of this game. The Owen Crew want it to go round near the post. And Ken Seo gets his 15th try of the season. And Catalan will think 16th in all competitions, I should say. And Catalan will say, should that have been head and feed to Rovers at that scrum? It doesn't matter, it's history, and it's a try for Ken Seo.
Well, do you know what? Some things go for you, some things go against you, and this has definitely gone against the Catalan Dragons. There was a play, there was a hand in from Chris Wellham, but probably the last two players that you want to see in open space running at you. It's the first man there who passes the ball on, Kieran Dixon, who just accelerates onto the ball, buys a bit of time for his winger Ken Seo. Yaha just is thinking, do I go in, do I stay out? You can just see a number of players shooting in. Ben Pomeroy goes in, which means that Yaha's got to go in. And as soon as he goes in, there's space on the edge, and nobody's going to stop Ken Seo from scoring the opening try.
I think it's a relatively simple play. There's not too much deception. I'm going to go back to the point about Zeb Taylor. Maybe when we watch it after the conversion, we might see how vulnerable Zeb Taylor is. But Ken Seo, he gets the first try and an excellent start for Hull KR in this Challenge Cup tie.
He got a hat-trick against the Catalan Dragons in March. Ken Seo, he's a cup hero for that winner against Wigan in the last round. And Catalan, Zeb Taylor there in the middle of the shots. Well, they were caught napping by the speed of Rovers then. Now then, Josh Mantolato has had a very profitable cup run so far. Got 30 points in one game, in fact, against the Bradford Bulls in the 5th round. 4 tries and 7 goals in that game. He's on target again. And Rovers 6-0 up. Ken Seo with the try.
Ken Seo is having an excellent season, but Zeb Taylor needs to be more aggressive on Leroy, who just simply puts it behind to a supporting player. It's 2v1, and you don't give that man that much time and space.
Number 4, Josh Mantolato.
Hold! Go one.
Here's Graham Horne for Hull KR,
Go, 2, good.
who have, by their own admission, had an inconsistent season. They've had injuries to deal with, they still have got injuries to deal with, but with Sean Lunton, Dane Tilse back in the side tonight, Chris Chester saying he's getting something like his first choice lineup out there.
But they're 2 big additions, aren't they, to come back into this side. His distribution, Sean Lunt from dummy half, as Hull KR look to shift it again, and Dane Tilse is no-nonsense go forward. So 2 big pluses for Chris Chester.
That was sloppy from Rovers though, and Kelly thumps the ball downfield, can't make it sit up, and Morgan Escaray watches that one run dead.
Well, I was watching the build-up, the warm-up of both teams, and trying to pay particular attention to the kicking. Albert Kelly very much working on the long-range stuff, and Maurice Blair was putting it high and hanging. He's got a lovely left boot, Maurice Blair. We'll probably see that a little bit later on in the game, but very difficult to catch.
Here's Julien Bousquet now, this big front rower who has just signed a 2-year extension with the Catalan Dragons, wanting to keep hold of him. They've lost too many players. Whitehead going, Garcia going to the NRL as well. Matthias Palla has gone, Gadwin Springer has gone to the Castleford Tigers. They need to start holding on to people. Rovers supporters on that far side, claiming a forward pass there, and now here is Pomeroy. 4 tackles gone this set of 6. Giro, very much the main man, with Carney out of action and Thomas Bosk now out for some time. Tony Gigot has done well, the big centre, and Gigot, that ball batted down. 6 to go, says the referee.
He's good with the ball in hands, isn't he, Tony Gigot?
Go, 0.
So this is a good opportunity for Catalan now, their first real opportunity of the game. Zebtea shifts it on to Pomeroy, and Pomeroy, again, there's a hand in there, another 6 to go.
They're getting some tackling practice. Now, Ian Henderson lets go of that ball. Ian Henderson lets go of that ball. He's being interfered with at the tackle. And he does have a hand. Here's the offload. It was the free play, you're right. Settle down, Barrett.
What's your second effort?
Obviously, we watch the home games of the Catalan Dragons a lot, and I know he's got all the professional knowledge and experience to take those things right to the line.
Tony, come on.
You really are hard on Ian Henderson.
I'll be honest, Bill, I don't like watching players just bend and twist the rules. Just get on with the game.
Well, Catalan getting on with the game now, but Morgan Escray going backwards at the moment, and Maurice Blair dumps him on his back. That's enough of that. Whitehead now, legs driving the former Bradford Ballsman, and up to the Rovers 10-metre line. Pressure on this Hull KR defence. Tyrone McCarthy captaining the side, leading the way. Here's Jason Bateri now, cut down by a good tackle. It was Blair down low. Again, Wellham sticks out a hand, and another set of 6. They're doing some defending here.
They are doing, but do you know, the ball's in the air and Chris Wellham's got every right to go for that ball. He needs to bring it in though. But what Catalan are doing, they're too flat. They're not giving themselves any depth. There's no real attacking options for them. They're looking to play outside of Hull KR instead of through them, and that's why there's a number of times that Hull KR are getting the hands to the ball.
But just go back to that point that they're on their third choice half-back pairing.
Yeah, and that's a good point to make. Robban comes into the side, I think this is his 5th or 6th game of the season, and it's a difficult job. He's got a partner, Scott Giroux. We've already said he's crucial to this Dragons side, and he needs to be dominant, and he needs to play that supporting role.
Casti going close, and then not so close as he's driven back by the Rovers tacklers. Giroux, short ball, finds Whitehead. Whitehead bats it on. It reaches Chris Naninu, and Chris Naninu opens a gap, and that ball squirts out somehow, and John Budebsa will retrieve it, and they'll try and get out of jail here, and Albert Kelly, well then, dicing with problems there, and Phil Bentham's going to come all the way back and just try and work out how that ball squirted out when Chris Naninu was over the line.
Well, I think it comes out from the shot on Morgan Escray. When Chris Naninu thinks that he gets over the line, the power, the strength, saw him score a try in his first touch. It's Chris Wellham again. Sorry, not Kieran Dixon. It's Chris Wellham that makes a play for that ball.
It's a loose
there
carry.
It is again.
And there's a slap.
It's a deliberate play, though, for the ball.
It is, you're right.
Well, Chris Wellham very much involved in this defensive set, or succession of defensive sets. Lauren Fraser a bit bewildered by that decision.
I think it was the head and feed. They should have got the ball back. Catalan should have got the ball back.
Hold.
He made a play for that ball. They couldn't get out the in-goal area. That was the head and feed at the scrum, Bill.
Second. Move.
When you deliberately make a play for it like Chris Wellham did, it was a one-on-one tackle, so he's okay with that. It's not a penalty, but they should have had the ball.
3. Move now. Back up. Hold.
Rovers relieve the pressure after 3 successive sets on their own try line. That's good defence from them.
Move.
Got a bit of a break at the end, though. There is John Budebsa, once of the Pia Donkeys, with whom he played in 2 French Cup finals, but now there's the prospect of a cup final in England. A long way to go yet. But they lead 6-0 as Blair thumps the kick downfield, and Escray gathers and looks to run it back. Now Fouad Yaha finds Pomeroy. Pomeroy back in field, drops the ball down, but it's gone straight to a Rovers player, and Kelly will pick it up, and Kelly is through, and Fouad Yaha just clings onto him. Stan Robin it was who made the tackle. And again, it's a stray pass, and Horn gathers for Hull KR.
Move! Back up!
but they're bang in front of those Catalan posts now. And here is Walker, showing up well. Offloads to Bedebza, Bedebza quickly away. Pulatua, Tony Pulatua, lovely ball to Dixon! And Kieran Dixon in a great run of form at the moment. But he can thank Tony Pulatua for that offload right on the try line. 13th of the season for the former London Bronco, who is a big hit with these Rovers supporters. He pops up everywhere, a big try, a big game, and a try against the Wolves last week, and on the scoreboard in the Cup quarter-final tonight.
Well, there's a couple of things that's going Hull KR's way in the opening 16 minutes, and that's the second time that the call has gone for Hull KR, and it's by that man again, Chris Wellham, the offload here. And then when Albert Kelly gets the ball, his explosive speed to get him through, get to quick play the ball, and then the pressure's on, and it's that man again, Adam Walker, who comes up with the first offload, and the offloading game is causing Catalans some problem. Tony Pulatua gets the experience, buys a bit of time, holds up the ball, and it's a nice neat offload to that man Kieran Dixon.
Well, the start's always going to be important against a team that's had 24 hours less to recover from the Catalan game. They played on Saturday, and it's an outstanding piece of brilliance. First of all, to keep the ball alive. Love to watch players offloading, going through tackles, offloading to supporting players.
Mantellato looking to make it 2 from 2 with this conversion. He's on target, and it looks as though Rovers are on target for a semi-final place. They lead by 12 points to 0.
Lauren Prezinou. Well, I'm sure he's questioning it and challenging.
Well, a couple of decisions, isn't he?
Well, he's got to be careful. He's picked up a couple of financial penalties this season for his voicing his displeasure with some of these decisions that Catalan have felt hard done by, and they've got grounds for complaint there. The Rovers have taken their chances. And Dixon in possession, the most recent of those chances. A Cup quarter-finalist with the London Broncos in 2012, Kieran Dixon was. That wasn't a positive experience. This one shaping up to be more so.
And I know the juggle from Kieran Dixon was very impressive, but to put yourself in the position, and good fullbacks will always try and trail and track. They'll have an instinct for players who like to offload the ball. If you watch rugby league for any length of time, you know that Tony Pulatua, 36 years of age, he's a right arm carry, he's a right foot step, and he's a right foot offload, or right arm offload, sorry.
Escaré, Mantellato has gathered that ball, he's found Kelly, and Kelly plays another Rovers try. It's all going the Robins' way at the moment. No hesitation from Phil Bentham, and Josh Mantellato snatched that ball from the grasp of Morgan Escaré, the Catalan fullback, and then had the presence of mind to find Albert Kelly as he was going to ground. And Kelly, outstanding last week, gets his 13th of the season, and 2 tries in 2 minutes for Chris Chester's Rovers.
Well, Josh Mantellato, the Super League leading point scorer, put himself in a position here to make it into a contest. Look at him, his eyes on the ball, and there's not a chance that Morgan Escaré is going to compete with the man. He's 6'4". As soon as this ball goes up, perfect kick from Blur. The focus is there for Morgan Escaré, but look at the size, look at the commitment, and have a little look at this offload as well. This is a good start, isn't it, for Hull KR?
It's all about the chase, it's all about getting in the eye line of Morgan Escaré. He's virtually 4 red shirts in the frame, trying to distract him from his ultimate goal, which is to catch and pouch the ball. And Albert Kelly, he gets the 3rd try for the Robins.
Mantellato, as I said, he got 30 points against the Bulls in the 5th round. He's already in the points for Hull Kingston Rovers in this one, and they do really look in the mood for it tonight, Rovers. Formality for the Italian international. 18-0 and only 19 minutes gone, and Laurent Fresinu still having a go at the match commissioner Jerry Kershaw, and I'm sure he's pointing to, well, there was that Chris Wellham knockout that was just about where they're standing in actual fact earlier on, but it's gone.
Bill,
Catalan are trailing 18-0.
Sorry, Bill, it's a tough job, and you don't want to see your leader losing his composure on the sideline, because he's the one who's got to direct it at half-time. And if you remember the last time that they played here in round 5, they conceded 46 unanswered points. They got off to a fabulous start, scoring 20 points, but then they just fell apart. Well, it looks like they've continued that form. The start has been very poor for Catalan.
Rovers with Dixon, who's stopped in his tracks by Casti. Here is Bedebza now, tackled on the halfway line. Benjamin Garcia and Jason Viteri with the tackle.
John, you're causing the problem.
And Kelly, well, he's in great shape at the moment. He was the man who really guided Rovers around in that game against Warrington last week, and he's doing the job again for them here against the Dragons.
Well, it's been a difficult job for the Dragons middlemen. I'm watching the players walk to the scrum. A lot of the big men taking in the big deep breaths. I don't think it'll be too long before we see some interchanges. Laurent Fresinu, I know it's easy sat up here and you try and look at things in the cold light of day and decisions go with you and against you. Laurent Fresinu can influence this game now with his substitutions, and when he gets his side in at half-time, how he gets them to change their mindset.
Well, this is the first of the quarterfinals. Another one coming up live on Sky Sports tomorrow evening, 7:55. Sky Sports 3, Hull FC against Leeds Rhinos, the holders from the KC Stadium. Will we have Rovers already through? Certainly looks like it, but remember, as mentioned before here this evening, Catalan on this pitch were 20 points to 4 up against Rovers earlier in the season, and then blew it. So it's not beyond a side like the Catalan Dragons' capabilities. They've got some scoring power. Here is Ben Pomeroy. Escaré scanning. Giroud now. He's been quiet, Scott Giroud. Jason Viteri. That's the 5th tackle. Giroud decides to run it, and then little chip kick over the top. It's not a good one. It's straight into the hands of Mantolato, and Rovers will try and counter now.
Release now.
Dixon trying his best. Here's Ken Sio. Sio.
Well, this is where they're really strong with Kieran Dixon, Sio, Mantolato. The outside and the back three there's a mistake here.
There's a knock on at the play, the ball in the haste to try and play the ball as quickly as possible. Kieran Dixon makes the mistake.
But that's where the threat is. That man, Kieran Dixon, Sio, Mantolato. Well, there's the mistake.
Kieran, just waiting for a call as well.
Angela on the sidelines. Quick word.
Just been having a little chat to Jerry Kershaw, the match commissioner, and he's been talking to, obviously, Laurent Fresinu. You saw him on the touchline. He's very politely, in that French Gallic way, been asking questions about, well, did he actually push the ball out, and was that try off an offside position? He's been very polite, though, and Jerry Kershaw is quite often down in France with the Catalan Dragons, so I've got a good rapport with him. Nothing offensive, just asking the questions.
Hold. Goal 2.
Pomeroy plays the ball about 12 metres out. Here is Remy Casti. Catalan needs to hit back soon.
Move! We're back. Left side, back. 3.
They can't afford to concede any more points. 18-0, it's still doable. Henderson trying to find a gap through, but Kevin Lorea having nothing to do with it. Zeb Teya now. Teya, he'll use his strength. Almost over Zeb Teya, but they managed to turn him on his back again. It's Leroy there with the tackle. Dane Tilse as well. Henderson on the last. Giroud, little grubber kick in. And Dixon trying to get out of trouble. Almost does.
Well, that's the first bit of positive play from the Dragons for quite a time. A perfectly weighted kick from Scott Giroud. Puts it into a difficult spot for Kieran Dixon, who does his Georgie best to try and get out of the in-goal. But a great reaction from the Catalan players. And now it's time for them to have a bit of time with the ball and try and assert some pressure.
Do you know, they miss an opportunity, though, because Ian Henderson gets out from dummy half on the third play. He gets Kelly interested, and the gap's there. And all of a sudden, Ben Pomeroy just misses that opportunity, because that could have been 4 points.
But Catalan are forced to goal line dropout. Mantellato, thumping kick into the midriff of Scott Giroux, and now Benjamin Garcia, this very talented second rower, comes centre, runs the ball back. There is Henderson. Jason Batteri. Good to see him back in action. Jason Batteri had a terrible couple of years with injury. Missed a lot of games, but has got a good run of games behind him now. Here's Ben Pomeroy. There's Stan Robin. Now Henderson. Casti will straighten it up. But Kelly, good tackle down low from Albert Kelly, not renowned for the defensive side of his game, but he brought the big Catalan man down there. Giroux, crossfield kick. Inu will grab it. Almost got it in the air, and Wellham. Well, it's a restart on the 20, but so close, Christian Inu there.
Well, it was a really purposeful kick. And if Inu, I'm not sure he does too much wrong on that occasion when he's trying to pouch the ball, possibly bat it back inside. I'm not sure whether his first instinct to catch it was better, but big Dane Tilse on the pitch.
This is his first appearance since the cup win against Wigan, in actual fact, for Tilse. So they're glad to have the big man back. Sean Lunt back as well, he's on the bench. In fact, he's off the bench and into the action, Sean Lunt. So it's good news for Rovers getting those two back. He's been out for, well, that's April the 19th. In fact, you have to go back for Sean Lunt's last involvement for the Rovers. So good progress for Chris Chester on the injury front. Dixon protesting to the referee. Blair hoists that kick. Fuad Yaha slow to react and comes for it. Oh, take that. Well, tell you what, this kid,
even the post can't knock him over.
Nothing is safe when Fuad Yaha is on the run.
But you know what, fair play to the lad, because there's a big post in front of him and he's concentrating, looking at catching that ball. It's going to come down. Is it going to hit the crossbar? Is it going to hit the post? And as soon as I catch it, I'm going to get whacked by one of the opponents.
Or the post.
Brilliant. Well played, youngster.
Move now!
He used it as a foil. It was a sidestep.
It was a bit like pinball, wasn't it? Because he ricocheted off the post and set off up the field. Well, they've stemmed the tide of the Catalan Dragons, but Rovers coming up to the half-hour mark, lead by 18 points to 0. That flurry of points is Muniz. That's the 5th tackle.
Go!
Stan Robin, Giroux. Finds a bit of space, but Ken Seo, time to gather the ball. Louis Anderson on with Eloy Pellissier to make the tackle.
And that's a much better chase. I talked about the energy they'd exerted in that opening quarter. They've changed some middlemen. It was Benjamin Garcia who came onto the pitch first, and they've got all the bench on now. And Laurent Fresinu trying to change the momentum of this game. Hulkiar virtually had the first 20 minutes, the first quarter, and it's time for Catalan to hit back.
Wellham, good offload from him. Here's Dixon, busy. Kieran Dixon, try scorer already this evening for the Robins, who are just inside Catalan territory. Here's James Donaldson now. Now Lunt finds Mantellato with a fantastic ball. Mantellato back over the top to Graham Horn, and that's another Rovers try. And Graham Horn could have really punctured what hope the Catalan Dragons had. Josh Mantellato linking up with Sean Lunt to create that try. Fantastic ball from Lunt. And then ball back in field to that man, Graham Horn. His 5th of this 2015 campaign in League and Cup.
We'll talk about the distribution of Sean Lunt. Just have a little look at that. What a quality pass that beats the Catalan players. And then all Mantelato's got to do is make sure that he focuses on attracting Morgan Escudé. And as soon as he pulls him in, he passes that ball, hook the touchline, having a little look, and ball's transferred into two hands. He has to throw the ball back over the head of Sean Long. And it's Mr. Reliable, the Mr. Versatile of rugby league in Graham Horne who scores the try.
That's the little feint to the open side. He shapes to go right, and the markers don't react, and that leaves Sean Long the choice. Ultimately, he picks the right one. Mantelato hugging the touchline. Wonderful try from the Robins.
In his 13th Super League season, Graham Horne, very experienced. Mantelato, well, what an acquisition he has been for Hull Kingston Rovers this season. Super League's top point scorer, 168 I think it is now. And this looks odds on, two more. 18-0, Catalan were threatening, but that probably has really taken the wind out of their sails, what wind there was left in their sails. Rovers don't need a tough contest tonight because they've got another game coming up next week, and that's the game against Salford Red Devils here at the KC Lightstream Stadium, and you can see that on Sky Sports for the iPad app and Sky Sports Extra as well. Tuesday 8 o'clock for that one, and then same again on Wednesday when Wakefield take on Hull FC. Wakefield with Kevin Locke likely to be in their side. If you haven't seen the news today, having moved from Salford, that's available on the iPad app and on Sky Sports Extra as well. You can call those webisodes, I think they call them.
Well, this carry is all about intent. It's all about size and power. There's just one word to sum up the first 30 minutes for Hull KR, and that's perfect. They've rode the luck a little bit and got some decisions, but whenever they've had chance, they've been ruthless in their execution.
They've got the first penalty of the game as well. Half an hour gone and the first penalty. That's some going. Sean Lunt, busy, excitedly back in action. Not the sort of player who likes to be sitting on the sideline. Sean Lunt says he doesn't do rehab very well. Probably does it very well, but he doesn't like doing it. Likes to be out there. Look, well, everybody does.
No players like being injured. They all want to go out there. They get paid to play rugby league.
Kelly, long ball. They're looking to find Kensio again, but here's Liam Salter now. Unsung hero, really, for this Rover side, Liam Salter. 22 years of age and gets through a lot of work. Always busy in defence.
I think unsung is the right word, Bill, and we were discussing it before the game, myself and Tez, about Liam Salter. Would you describe him as a good player? Yes, he's a good player, because I can't remember him having a bad game.
Kensio kept his eyes on the ball, and Tony Gigot was there to tidy it up.
Well, this is where you want to trap any opposition, especially some teams the size of Catalan. Chris Nin, who comes up with a very good carry. What can happen on the back of this? Louis Anderson
just
now onto the pitch.
Little incident a moment ago in that last set. Kevin Leroyer and Eloy Pellissier having a bit of a discussion, and those two are great friends, in fact, from their Catalan days together.
There's no friends when they're not in the same coloured shirt as you, Bill.
Not in a cup quarter-final either. Rovers hoping to get back to Wembley. They haven't featured in the semi-finals since 2006. And Catalan kicking from deep, and not the best kick.
Well, it's straight to Kieran Dixon. You've got to make sure you present that line. Look at him, he just skips across the line. He's looking to pull a defender out, and then that's where the opportunity is for the break. He's made more clean breaks than anyone else in the Hull KR shirt this year, so he is a threat.
It'd be good if Hull Kingston Rovers can get past the quarter-finals. They've lost in the last three. They've got out to the cup winners, in fact, in 3 of the past 7 years. So they'll be hoping that their neighbours tomorrow night can do a job on the current cup holders. That's if Hull Kingston Rovers go on to go through in this. They lead by 24 points to 0. We've seen big comebacks, but there's no sign really of Catalan turning the tide here. Rovers really are in the mood for it. Blair with a crossfield kick. Touch judge has his flag up.
Hand over. Just in there.
Maurice Blair for a left-footed kicker on the wrong side of the pitch and rushes and hurries. And it ends up a little bit too far. Kensio can't keep it on the island. He puts his foot in touch anyway, but a nice moment for Hull KR, and particularly Adam Walker when he was leaving the pitch. Adam Walker, 24, was replaced by James Greenwood, also 24. Imagine the wealth and the knowledge of experience that Tony Pulatua and Dane Tills can pass on to those two young front rows. So a nice moment for Adam Walker, who's had a good opening 30 or so minutes.
Muniz, Garcia.
Move! Back up. Play. Goal 3.
Kensio. Jumped with his foot on the line.
Yeah, so he's out the field of play.
Hold.
And he jumped for that ball.
Goal 4.
Muniz finds Anderson, and Anderson swats him aside. He needs some support now. Louis Anderson, and good defence from Kieran Dixon and Kelly. Stan Robin, Catalan, desperate to get something on them before half-time. Whitehead kicks ahead, and Krishnan Inu will score now. Great work from Elliot Whitehead to set that one, and Krishnan Inu, denied earlier on in this game, gets Catalan's first points and his second try since joining the club from Stade Francais. Try last week, and he's got the Catalan Dragons' first try tonight to give them some hope of turning this situation around.
Well, Louis Anderson's not been on the pitch long, but as soon as he comes on, he sets the platform for this play here. When the ball goes into Elliot Whitehead's hands, they had the numbers, it was 2-on-2, but it was the perfect kick. Look at this for the break. He made his NRL debut at 18. He'd already made 13 test caps by the time he was 21. He's an immense talent, Louis Anderson, and he's got Catalan back into this game. And the kick there from Whitehead was absolutely perfect.
He's a very talented player, but he's also tough. He runs onto that ball, Anderson. No one needs to go up to break the line. Louis Anderson on the left and Elliot Whitehead on the right. Lots of skill, lots of toughness, and a delicate little kick for Inu to get Catalan Dragons' first try.
Been a while for Scott Giroux in the Challenge Cup. The Dragons could do with him landing this, but he's pushed it across the face of those posts. 24-4 the scoreline. 5 minutes to go to the half-time hooter.
For 35 minutes, Laurent Fresinu and the Catalan Dragons have been in free fall, really, due to the perfect start of the Robins, should I say. Laurent Fresinu, I'm sure when he gets his team in at half-time, he'll say, look, let's do more of the good stuff, take away all the power, all the momentum.
What will he say at half-time, do you think, Barry, to the lads?
Stop handing the ball over cheaply. Use your energy in the right places, but sometimes the team that's played well, as in Hull KR, sometimes you've just got to give them their due.
One, move! Hold Rovers! Go one.
Muniz plays the ball 10 metres out. Here is Elliot Whitehead. They're going to miss him when he goes to the NRL next season. Whitehead, he's a really talented player. Hasn't been so prolific in terms of try scoring this season, but you just saw there with that little kick ahead to set up the try from Krishnan Inu, former Bradford Bulls second row. Has got great skill.
He's just a warrior. He's a leader, isn't he? On this right edge.
Go 4.
Pelissier, and then Giroux, and Giroux, better kick. Turns Dixon around this time. But Dixon looks up and sees, looking for a little gap in the armour there.
The middle chase wasn't good enough. There was just 3 men chasing up Dixon. You can't just give him that much space, and that's exactly what Catalan did. Don't give him space, make sure you present that defensive line in front of him and let him just try and bounce across.
Mantolato at speed into the Catalan line. The Rovers supporters protesting that the Dragons are encroaching on the 10. Here's Tills now.
And now they're just starting to open it up as well. The forwards are passing the ball between themselves at the line.
Blair. Well, he knows the clock is counting down. Turn Catalan round, get him back down their end of the field.
And that's exactly what they've done in that set of 6. There was nothing much in it. It was just forwards running at the line, attracting the opposition, tipping the ball on, landing on the front, playing it, kicking, and that man Blurt kicks the ball out of the field of play. He knows that there's only 2 minutes left before he goes in, and listen to the wise words from Chris Chester.
Maurice Blair and Albert Kelly reunited. They were in partnership at the Gold Coast Club in that half-back role. Of course, Terry Campese out of action at the moment, but they're coping well without their normal standoff tonight. Here is Zeb Taylor, quiet, we suspect, because he is carrying an injury, the injury that kept him out of the game against Wakefield last week.
He's just not been involved, has he? He's not offered himself every week when you see Zeb Taylor play. He's the first man to put his hand up to take that really poor carry. He's just not doing it. He's just standing on the left side and just not offering himself.
Muniz. Catalan going to produce something before the half-time hooter sounds. Whitehead, but not with defence like that. Sean Lunt cuts him down. Graham Horn makes sure he doesn't make any more progress, but good defence again from Chris Wellham to stop Krishnan Inu in his tracks. Here's Escaré. Escaré, little darting run from him, trying to weave his way through. He's lost that ball. The referee says play on. And Kelly loses it. Are we still playing on, referee? No, we're not. We're eventually going to come back to where there was the first knock on.
Well, Scott Giroux going mad and Laurent Fresneau kicking the turf. Well, that's the correct call.
Well, a lot of frustration.
It was
from the Catalan camp. Jerome Guisset and Michael Monaghan down there as well, expressing their displeasure.
But it is the free play. Here's the mistake.
Or were there two in the tackle there? Or was Escaré trying to offload it?
I think that what they're saying is it wasn't a knock on, it wasn't a mistake. He pushed the ball backwards, so it should have been play on.
And frustration probably from Whitehead, and somebody has said something, not surprisingly, from Catalan. And somebody's going to end up in the sin bin at this rate, because Whitehead could have been further penalised there for trying to stop Sean Lunt.
Yeah, you're right. This is 2 points this now. Mantellato. Well, they rattled Catalan. It's not been their half. Graham Horner takes the high shot from Elliot Whitehead. Well, it was just enough. It was round the neck. Chris Chester saying, yep, 2 points. He knows that the clock has run out now. And there's a big team talk from that man at half-time.
Laurent Fresneau was saying a couple of weeks ago that he's got to be careful after he'd picked up his most recent fine from the disciplinary for something he said. I said, your problem is you speak too good English.
And he has got to keep his emotions just intact at half-time.
Well, Mantellato, immaculate with the boot so far this evening. Once more. And that's the final kick of the game, and Laurent Fresneau, I think, might be better advised to keep his distance from the referee, Phil Bentham, because passions are running high in the Catalan camp. Elliot Whitehead in the background just having a words with the referee, the Catalan coach, with words for his players as they leave the field, and possibly words for the referee. And well, it's Michael Monaghan who does the talking in the end, but they are not best pleased, the Catalan Dragons, but Rovers certainly are. They have dominated this first half, and they lead by 26 points to 4.
Krishnan Inu try will have done for the Dragons' confidence, if anything. They have a half-time break and 40 minutes of action remaining to rescue their 2015 I should say, Challenge Cup hopes, and maybe their best chance of a trophy this season. Half-time analysis coming up shortly.